So you made it past the Mad Donkey, and now you're at the end of Chapter 2, and you have to face the Scrapped Watchman. Well, that's exactly what this guide's going to show you, is how to easily beat the Scrapped Watchman. This is a no-get-good edition. You don't need to be perfect guarding every strike, and I assume you to be just a casual, regular gamer. I don't expect you to be a Soulsborne veteran. I'm going to be guiding you through every step of the way, showing you exactly how to beat this guy, and progress onwards and enjoy the game. So if you like this content, I'm going to be doing a boss guide for every single boss in Lies of P to help you guys out. So please hit that like button and subscribe before we start the video. It really does help me out. And let's get into how to beat the Scrapped Watchman. So the key with the Scrapped Watchman is understanding his attack patterns. His two primary attack patterns in Phase 1 is going to be a overhead strike and a series of lateral swings. Now, for both of these, your best option, honestly, is going to be dodging to the left. I want you to really get used to dodging to the left all the time. Dodge to the right if he swings at you with his right arm. That can be quite good, but in most cases, you want to dodge to the left. And the reason is there's going to be a very powerful grab in Phase 2 that you're going to need to basically get around by dodging to the left. So you might as well already start getting used to this. Dodge to the left, hit him with one strike to counter. Now, what I want to show you is what not to do and what a lot of people are going to do. Don't attempt perfect blocks. Don't attempt to actually guard through his attacks. If you notice, every time he hits me when I've been guarding, he does a tremendous amount of damage, and I'm a mainly strength-based character. So for Dex characters, it's going to be even worse. You're going to take way too much damage. You need to really learn the attack patterns in Phase 1 before we summon Inspectors. And yes, guys, we will be, for the actual boss fight where we're going to defeat him, we will be using Spectres, but you don't want to use up your Star Fragments now. You really want to get used to beating his Phase 1 pretty consistently, because honestly, his Phase 2 is really quite challenging, and it's going to be the one that you're going to need the Spectre primarily in. So right now, just get used to dodging left to right, primarily left in the majority of cases, and hitting the Scrapped Watchman with one strike to counter him. Don't worry about staggering him, just hit him with one strike every time you dodge to the left, and primarily keep close to him and dodge to the left. So after doing Phase 1 a few times, you're going to be able to kind of learn that attack pattern and go to the Phase 2 transition. Now when he transitions to Phase 2, he's going to have a big electrical blast around his body, so it's imperative that you get out of the way. Don't try to damage him. Unlike the Parade Master, it's really not a good idea to try to lay damage when Scrapped Watchman's transitioning to Phase 2. So now we get to the more important part of the fight, which is Phase 2. So let's get into how to defeat the Scrapped Watchman. So again, before you pull in any Spectres, you need to understand and be able to beat most of his Phase 2 attacks. Now, one of his most dangerous Phase 2 attacks is he's going to jump up in the air, go into like a roly-poly ball, and try to jump down directly at you. Your best point is to just break lock on, start dodge rolling like crazy, get out of there, because when he's going to land, he's going to do an immense amount of damage, and he's going to electrify the field. This is almost unblockable unless you hit a perfect block, and the electric charge damage you're going to take is going to be absolutely immense. Now, I'm not going to lie, the first couple times you face his Phase 2, you are going to be dying a lot. He is quite hard in Phase 2. Another thing you have to understand is that every time he strikes downwards, so he does like an overhead strike down, he will then electrify the ground, and you will take electricity damage if you get hit. But the most damaging thing in Phase 2 is this grab attack that I'm showcasing right here. This is why I showed you guys that you needed to start actually dodging a lot to the left right from Phase 1, because his grab can be an insta-kill. If you don't have a lot of vitality, if you're at like 16 or 17 vitality right here, and basically, you know, your health pool is still low, if he hits you with that grab attack, he will one-shot you. So this is something you really have to know. The key to Phase 2 is always staying mobile, keep dodging to the left all the time, and know when to actually get out. If he's doing his overhead strike with lightning, your best bet is just to completely get out of the way, roll away, and wait for him to start his actual grab patterns. His grab pattern is actually a great time to punish, because if you either walk very fast to the left and then dodge to the left at the last moment, or do 2 quick dodges to the left, you can generally get a lot of damage in on him before he can really do anything to counter with. But remember, like most bosses in Lies of P, only do 1 to 2 strikes. I would say Dex, you should do 2 strikes. Strength, just do 1 strike, and then reset. Do not get greedy. So you've done the hard work, you've gotten Scrap Watchman to between 30 and 40% health, and you've learned his attack patterns in Phase 1 and Phase 2. Congratulations, we're going in for the boss kill. Now what you're going to want to do is summon your Spectre, and now you're going to notice the fight's dynamic changes a little bit. What you're going to want to be doing is trading off aggro. Let Scrap Watchman actually attack you, do your regular dodge, and then basically one strike. Here you can even guard one or two of his strikes because the Spectre is doing damage while you're guarding, so it's worth it to trade off health a little bit. As soon as the Scrap Watchman focuses on the Spectre, you need to keep the Spectre alive for Phase 2. So you want to get very aggressive, you want to aggro Scrap Watchman back onto you, and let the Spectre do primarily most of the damage while you aggro the boss. As soon as you get that transition to Phase 2, you're going to have that big electric strike, try to get out of there, take as little electric damage as possible, and get healed up. Now, one thing to note that's very, very important in Phase 2 is when Scrap Watchman does his grab, he is invulnerable. As you're seeing here, I'm not doing any damage while he's in the grab animation. So this is something important to note. You want to try to protect your Spectre as much as you can from this grab. But the key is, guys, always be on opposite side of Scrap Watchman. So if your Spectre's on the right, you should be on the left. This prevents Scrap Watchman from being able to hit both of you at once. And again, it's a DPS check. Really, with the Spectre, you're going to want to try to do as much damage as you can before the Spectre dies. If the Spectre gets to 50% health or less before you hit Phase 2, you've done it wrong. He should be either surviving to the end of the fight or at the very, very minimum, making it to where Scrap Watchman is, let's say, 20% health or less. So again, the key, trade that aggro. If you switch back and forth between you and the Spectre, you're going to be able to beat the Scrap Watchman, put him in the rear view mirror. I hope this guide helped you, and please hit that like and subscribe button. I'm making a boss guide for every single boss in the game for the average Joe. Really hope this helped you, and I'll see you in the next boss.